Welcome to the Alaska Journey podcast with Jamin Gurker. The purpose of this podcast is to answer questions for those who are thinking of moving to Alaska and for those who are currently living here. This episode features local economist Neal Fried.
Well, it's also a very good time for a lot of those properties to sell if they're residential. The residential market, as you know, is pretty good. In fact, it was better this last year than it was the year before, even though we lost all these jobs. And that's not just an Anchorage phenomenon, that's happening all over the country. Now, if you're trying to rent apartments, that's a different story. And it's funny because my son, like I said, has been up here the last 8 or 9 months, and he's been renting Airbnbs, and they're plentiful. Although I thought the prices probably would have fallen even more.
You would think so. Like I here's the thing. I went to Seward like a couple months ago. They were charging me like summer rates, and I was
Right.
like, I'm not gonna kick them while they're down. Just pay for it. Just pay it.
But yeah.
Outstanding. And so it's not just me saying now it's a good time to sell. You also hear it here too. So.
Oh yeah, well I've got the numbers. Sales were considerably up in 2020 in Anchorage, and new home construction was up quite a bit as well. It was the best year in 5 years for new residential permits in Anchorage.
See, I'm glad that you brought that up, because that was another part here in the report that really surprised me. I'm not really sure where that came from.
But you're in the industry.
Yeah, well, not as much in the new construction, though.
But it's just, before you came, I was talking to a podcaster about that. He says, how's this possible? We've been losing population, but we're still building. We're not building a lot of homes. I mean, the last 5 years have been pretty slow for Anchorage. But this year, last 2020 was good. Appreciation was up nicely. I mean, it's the recession as deep as we've experienced because of COVID. And this is happening elsewhere in the country. It's not unique to Anchorage.
Right. I always thought like builders were going to think like 2-3 years down the line. I didn't think they had like such, quick reaction to like what was happening. Because the sales price in Anchorage actually did go up 5.82% for the average sold price, which, I mean, that's pretty significant once you start looking at certain properties. That for some people, that's the difference between I can move or I can't move.
Right. No, people can sell. I mean, it's interesting. And I think a lot of people are motivated to sell for a variety of reasons because they've always worried about the past. But of course, there are also people being motivated to buy, obviously. One anecdote I heard about Anchorage is we built more $1 million homes this last year than we ever have.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I don't have that. I have it from a very good source, but I don't actually see the statistic. And I've heard that from 2 good sources.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, we're talking about small numbers here, but still, it's very interesting. But again, that's happening a lot. It's just like the real estate market in San Francisco, for example. It's much easier to rent. It's much cheaper now. But to buy, it's more expensive than ever.
Yeah. But, I mean, interest rates are down, so
Yes.
it's like it kind of just keeps up with itself.
Right.
All right. Outstanding.
I mean, that's one reason that we've seen even lower foreclosures, in this environment where a lot of people thought that would increase.
Right. Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I actually did dive into the research myself on that count. And I saw that there's around 1,600 total loans in all of Alaska that's delinquent. And
now, that's different than foreclosures.
And that's different from foreclosures.
Right.
And about just over 1,000 of those were in forbearance, which means, they're working with their lender to make it work. And I mean, I did a little bit more research too and found out only about 772 homes in all of Anchorage has less than $10,000 worth of equity, which that's really, really kind of your danger red alert mark. Once you fall below that, if you have to sell, you're looking at a loss or very likely some kind of a short sale or foreclosure. So even if everybody that's delinquent or in forbearance had to go on to, had to sell because they couldn't pay for their mortgage, we're realistically looking like they'd have to they have to sell, but you wouldn't be able to tell them apart from anyone else that's out there. You might see a slight increase in the inventory because the inventory is low. You might see an increase in the inventory, but you're not going to be able to tell which is distressed and which one isn't. So that's that's in a video that'll be coming out of my YouTube channel. So look for that, Alaska Realtor. It's a long one, so get some popcorn. It's good.
Thank you for listening, and if you'd like to hear more of this conversation, follow the link to the Alaska Journey podcast in the description of the video.